It seems that men in American politics have been struggling with, and publicly apologizing for their private lives for longer than we tend to remember. As much as we respect the US Founding Fathers for spearheading the American Revolution and creating the Constitution, we frequently forget that many of these men also found the time to carry on several affairs to satiate their sexual appetites, and tend to have had unusual bodily ailments. The most fascinating Founding Fathers' sex tales vary from quite ordinary affairs to what Gouverneur Morris supposedly did with a whalebone, a decision that ultimately caused his premature death. Are these Founding Fathers' sexual stories as surprising as the numerous Founding Fathers' conspiracies? Will any of these make you reconsider who the best Founding Father was, in your opinion? Continue to watch the video and make your own judgment. Benjamin Franklin, insatiable sexual appetite. Despite being married for 44 years to Deborah Read, Franklin's wife, it wasn't enough for him. Having a mistress was not unusual for powerful men in the colonial era, but Franklin's astronomical conquest count was due to his apparent preference for French women, as evidenced by his affairs with Anne Louise, Brill and de Joey, Madame Foucault, Mademoiselle Lovelade Contest Hotat, and other ladies. In his memoirs, he candidly acknowledged his liaisons with numerous women, saying that his hard-to-be-governed passion of my youth had hurried me frequently into intrigues with low women that fell in my way. His sexual desire did not go away as he grew older. Benjamin Franklin, I love older women. The paper Advice to a Young Man on the Choice of a Mistress by Benjamin Franklin, who frequently expressed his belief that older women were the best choice when searching for a worthwhile sexual partner, discussed how older women were more experienced when it came to getting down and dirty and more appreciative of being noticed by a younger man. He continued by writing that it is impossible to distinguish between an elderly and a young one because of what is beneath the girdle. Thomas Jefferson, affair with a slave. One of the first significant sex scandals of the young nation included Thomas Jefferson and his slave, Sally Hemings, and the argument over whether or not this is true still rages today. Even while there had long been rumors of his affair, the scandal really began to take off in 1802 when political journalist James Callender wrote about how Jefferson had kept one of his own slaves as a concubine. The narrative was used against him by his abolitionist opponents in the North. Gouverneur Morris, fornication. Almost all biographers of one of the lesser-known Founding Fathers, Gouverneur Morris, have likewise characterized him as a sexual libertarian. He was able to support himself on one leg while having affairs with numerous women. It's even said that Morris lost his leg during one of his sex acts when one of his mistress's husbands interrupted their affair. Morris reportedly lost his leg after being ran over by a carriage during his attempt to flee. However, this did not seem to affect his ability to attract ladies. Madame de Flayhout, a French woman who resided at the Louvre before traveling throughout Europe to accompany Morris and other prospective spouses, was the subject of his affair. After the French Revolution, Flayhout returned to France, where Morris was no longer accepted due to his support for the old monarchy, seemingly bringing an end to their tense relationship. Alexander Hamilton, paid affair. Of all the Founding Fathers, Alexander Hamilton's affair with Maria Reynolds became one of the most well-known. The two started dating while Hamilton's wife was gone for the summer. The pattern that developed was as follows: Maria's husband would leave, Maria would invite Hamilton over, her husband would return and demand money, Hamilton would pay, and so on. Maria was married, and when her husband returned, he demanded money from Hamilton in exchange for keeping quiet. Hamilton nevertheless proceeded with the affair. The situation became so bad that Hamilton was forced to come clean about the affair to the public, which unfortunately embarrassed both him and his wife. George Washington, old lover. By all accounts, George Washington's wife, Martha, seemed like the perfect match for America's first president. Although the two seemed made for each other, George's heart belonged to another, the beautiful Sally Fairfax. The two grew up together and Fairfax taught Washington everything he needed to know about high society. Even though he loved her, he could never be with her. He came from a middle-class upbringing while she came from a far wealthier family. However, their differing backgrounds didn't stop Washington from maintaining a relationship with Fairfax, Even when he was engaged to Martha, Washington told Fairfax how much he loved her and wanted to be with her. Alexander Hamilton, homosexual relationship. The idea that Alexander Hamilton and his friend John Lawrence were gay has been debated by historians. During the American Revolution, when the two were supporting George Washington, people have started delving into the analysis of the letters the two exchange, wondering if there was a deeper relationship between the two men. I wish it might be in my power by action rather than words to convince you that I love you, and you should not have taken advantage of my sensibility to steal into my affections without my consent, is one of Hamilton's many cutting statements to Lawrence. The correspondences indicate that Hamilton harbored a deep affection for Lawrence, even though his sexual orientation remains undisclosed. Not only did our founding fathers have weird sexual behaviors, others had unusual sex-related problems. Gouverneur Morris, bone in manhood. Gouverneur Morris died after inserting a whale bone into his manhood. He died as a result of injuries sustained when inserting a whale bone into his urethra. Morris, who had long-term gout and may have had prostate cancer, was having trouble urinating and tried to use the whale bone as a catheter, but it didn't work. George Washington, infertility. Despite being referred to as the founding father, evidence reveals that George Washington was sterile and was unable to father children of his own. He didn't have any children of his own, therefore any photo of him with children shows stepchildren or cousins. His wife Martha, though, was clearly not the issue. She gave birth to 4 children with her previous husband Daniel Parke Custis. George's infertility is thought to have been caused by a tuberculosis infection. James Madison, no sexual appetite. Dolly Madison, the wife of James Madison, was well known for adhering to hyperfeminine beauty standards. She was described as a voluptuous woman with a mouth that was exquisite in both shape and expression. James Madison was 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed approximately 100 pounds, while Dolly was said to be 3 inches taller and even more stunning. Even though she was gorgeous and would make men swoon, James didn't seem to be all that interested in her. He was, after all, a busy president of the United States, and it was said that his lack of romantic passion for his stunning wife made her seek out the company of other men. What filthy history do you know about America's founding fathers? Drop your comment. While you are at it, be sure to check out these videos and subscribe to our channel.